The following podcast contains explicit language.
So we went to a wedding last night, which was great. I love weddings. I love love. I've got some thoughts, though, about the ceremony itself, which took place in northern Mass at the Church of the Immaculate Flat Screen. First off, I distrust a young pastor, or like a priest or whatever. This ceremony was officiated by a real Joseph Gordon-Levitt-looking motherfucker, and I don't know what I'm worried about, that he's going to, like, pivot during the sermon into talking about ethics and gaming journalism or something. It just makes me uneasy. What also makes me uneasy is when the talky religious part starts on Genesis. Because I know at a wedding, you want to hit on Adam and Eve and all that stuff, but there's always a little suspicion in the back of my mind that when you start at Genesis, I'm like, oh my god, are we going to do the whole Bible? Here's the other thing, okay? If you're going to do, like, the standard issue, regular old placeholder text vows, that's totally fine. But you should clear it with the officiant ahead of time and make sure that they're not going to, like, switch up two of the normal words. I don't know why they do this, but they love to, and they get this cocky fucking grin on their face whenever they do. Last night the guy said, "in sickness and in trouble." And when he did it, he was like, "Do you take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband in sickness and in trouble?" I know there's a long tradition among the clergy in switching up words and acting like you're real clever. Like, whatever was the first guy who ever said Christ Jesus instead of Jesus Christ. Obviously, he just screwed up, but he carried it off like it was cool. He was like, and then of course the thing about Christ Jesus, oh, praise be to Christ Jesus. And everybody, all the other guys back in the rectory were like, oh shit, check out that hot fire he's spitting. He switched the name around, son. All bets are off. Then you end up in this awful situation where, like, the way that your vows are phrased, he's like, will you take this person as your lawfully wedded, etc.? Then what happens is the bride and groom are forced to say, I will, instead of I do. And the longer that these motherfuckers mess around with the language unchecked, the worse it's gonna get. You know, they're gonna be like, Jessica, would you take this man to be your husband in sickness and in trouble, in good times and in holy times, and as long as you both shall walk this earth? And then she's like, I would?
Lock the gates!
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Hello.
This is episode 2 of the podcast, the film festival.
This is episode 2 of the podcast titled The Festival.
What is your favorite movie? And before you answer that, have you ever factored into your answer what your favorite movie says about you? Like, do you ever listen to Mystery Show? Do you remember that amazing moment where that bartender talks about how much he loves the movie
Lestrada? I don't know. It was a very touching film for me because I identify with the character Zampano. I know he was a bad guy, but I thought that love affair with Jessamina, you know, he saw the light, but it was too late. The last scene of him crying on the beach, you know, it was so sad.
Have you ever wished that you had the ability to talk about a Fellini movie and still sound as unpretentious as that guy? How do you do it? I think a lot about that with movies because, you know, I could probably talk some real fucking arty shit if I wanted to, but there's this filter. There's a socially self-preserving filter, I guess probably left over from, you know, when I was 15 years old and holding forth dramatically and pretentiously about movies for a long time, and probably someone finally told me to shut the fuck up. And that shield, that wall just fell down. It's been there ever since. So let's talk about movies. Welcome to the last podcast. I'm your host,
This is
Zach Little.
Zach. He's working with me on the
Hello.
Instagramming.
So I recorded a lot of audio at the New Hampshire Film Festival in October of 2015. It was basically right when I decided I was going to start a podcast, so I just turned on a microphone a lot for a while, wondering what would happen. So between seeing a lot of movies and short films and also doing some freelance social media work for the festival, Christy and I rattled off 40 or 50 pop culture theories based on the stuff that we were seeing. If we'd kept at it, we maybe could have had like a pretty good 99 theses to nail to the door of the local Regal multiplex. But instead, I just have a lot of very messy audio.
The content was really good. And I think that the general feel of all the stuff leading up was pretty great. So
Part of me, I don't know, is a short film supposed to be proof that you could make a longer movie? Because I feel like a lot of them feel like half stories, enough that it doesn't seem like an accident. And I guess I never really thought about a short film that way, as being half a story.
You're talking about in the one with the father and the dog, the Delia one?
Yes.
How it's something, you gotta figure out what's going on the whole time, all of a sudden and then it's over.
Yeah. And so then there's that contentiousness between him and the other people, and probably the guy who shot his daughter or whatever, and that never comes to a head. And in the last one,
It's because you're supposed to do it all on your own.
I guess, but in the last one, the guy wants to propose to his girlfriend, and that never comes to a head. It's so you set up 3 points, and you build a world around those 3 points, and you resolve one of them, and you get out on that, on that note. So it's a different style of story. The thing is, indie film is the actual battleground of filmmaking. So there are dudes on that battlefield that are straight up gladiators, and they're on their way to bigger and better things. And there are other people that are going to straight get their heads chopped off. But, they're out there, and it's great that they are. And I'm happy to see, everything they can do until the point where their head gets chopped off. One thing about that talent dichotomy is that at any given moment at a festival like this, you're either about to see something that you have never seen before, or you'll see something where you'll suddenly realize you've seen it 1,000 times before, and there's nothing in between. Tell me if this sounds crazy, but one thing I was thinking during the Irish one, where it turns out that the old dad is gay, and then something I saw earlier where it was it turns out a Marine is gay, that I was it's funny because you would almost expect independent film to be a little further out on the issue of gay people, where because the idea that ooh, twist, they're gay, seems very reductive, and it's almost now that there's
It's the new, they were dead the whole time.
well, no, it should be the old they were dead the whole time. But what I feel is because gay rights and everything has advanced so much that it's almost everybody who wanted to do anybody who wants to do a secret gay plot line has to do it right now, because it's all right, you have 1 year left, and then after that it'll be way too old.
Well, that was 2 out of 30 so far. So.
I know, but that's still a lot, and I just feel there's maybe a year left for secret gay plot lines, and then it'll seem way too outdated. We're both we're both picky technical people.
I was very
So that's the thing, but
a lot of them have been good as far as quality so far. I mean, the first complaint I had about the visual was the very first one with the lady
Too washed out?
who got in the accidents multiple times.
Yeah.
It was it wasn't just too washed out, it was too brightly lit and under focus. But then even when it was the shift focus on the face, it was only one of her eyes was focused and then everything else wasn't. And that's okay for
The Master.
yeah, but it's not for an actual documentary about somebody, you know?
Right. One of the short films that I saw at the New Hampshire Film Festival was about student debt, and the whole thing had this very okay, fine, Dad, I'll go to a state school vibe to it. But obviously, student loan debt is a big problem, and I noted with a certain amount of satisfaction that most of the students who were talking about their awful, crushing debt had all gone to Emerson. I wanted to go to Emerson. I mean, of course, I wanted to go to Emerson. I think probably every slightly creative high school kid in America is told at some point to go to Emerson because high school guidance counselors themselves are not always the most creative people in the world. So, which is not itself a knock against Emerson. You know, the idea that, like, this is where you send your creative kids it's a very effective part of their marketing. But anyway, going into the college process, I knew I was not going to be able to handle high amounts of student loans. I did not imagine a future where I'd get out of school and have, you know, even a job. But I figured I could probably get some pretty decent financial aid, because, like, my grades were good, but they weren't suspiciously good. You know what I'm talking about. Like, every high school has a system, and there are some kids that get really good at gaming that system. Our school had this whole complicated gold scholar system where you got points for, like, being on a varsity team, and I think several varsity sports were created just for the people who asked the right questions. But the stupid thing I did was I applied to Emerson, I got accepted early admission, and I just took it. And I was like, well, I'll work out the financial aid stuff later. But Emerson was particularly aggressive about, like, hearing about every dime you ever picked up off the street. And though I got some need-based aid and I got some academic scholarships, it wasn't even nearly enough to cover the spread. And I had to say, I can't do it. I was not going to take out a huge student loan. And I ended up sort of haphazardly at this college called LaSalle in Philadelphia. And it ended up being a really great experience. They had this kind of nifty integrated curriculum honors program. It was a Christian Brothers school, and Christian Brothers are like the weird Jesuits. So although I am not religious, I was, as it turned out, among my people. It's the same vibe. I'm like the Christian Brother version of agnostic or atheist or whatever. Anyway, once I was at LaSalle, I started applying to other schools to transfer. I was pretty much keeping my eye on the exits the whole year, and I really actually ultimately wish that I hadn't, because I had great teachers and great friends there, and fairly often, I think to myself that I should have stuck around. And I had really great roommates, Brian, Sam, and Paul. Those are their actual names. I'm not just, like, coming up with the most obvious choices for fake names for roommates at a Catholic college. They really were named Brian, Sam, and Paul. And what's funny is that summer I got a job working at a Korean barbecue. Worst job I've ever had in my life. It's a place called Hoka Hoka. They are somehow miraculously still in business. What I didn't like about it was that they pooled tips, but there were so many unspoken rules that you could violate as a waiter, and the only way you found out was they would dock your tips a percentage point. So, like, the shift started every day at 3 o'clock, except for on Saturdays when it started at 2:30. So when I showed up at 3 o'clock, they said, no big deal, that's just 3%. And they nickel and dime me down to, like, I eventually realized I was making less than minimum wage while waiting tables. So it ended up being one of the several jobs during that time that I quit by just not showing up. It's not a good way to quit a job, although I've done it a bunch. In fact, at Hoka Hoka, I left in the middle of the day. We had a lunch shift, and then we had a dinner shift. And in between, all of the cooks from the kitchen would come out and nap on the benches around the dining room. So while they were all heading off for their nap, I was, like, walking out the basement door, holding my waiter's shirt and my waiter's shoes, pretending like I was going to go to lunch, and one of the other waiters said, hey, where are you going? I said, oh, I'm just going to go grab a pretzel. And he was like, why are you taking your shoes? And I was like, bye. But anyway, I guess I started telling this story because all the other waiters were Korean guys, so they had Korean names, but they went by American aliases, and their chosen aliases were Paul, Sam, and Brian. Oh, and I guess also, you know, one of the schools that I applied to for transfer at the time was Emerson again, and I got in again, and I still didn't get enough financial aid, so I went to BU, and, you know, it was fine. Okay, you can start recording whenever, if you haven't already.
I'll start rolling. Hopefully I've got, you know, enough memory. I haven't really checked.
One thing I feel like I don't really know, like, specifically how to pronounce your last name. Is it what it sounds? Is it exactly as it sounds?
It's how does it sound?
Like Neafcy?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, I thought maybe there was something, like, more complicated in there. Like,
Nope.
It was like Neafcy, you know? Like something kind of... Like,
Yeah.
maybe you tried out in college or something. You were like, no.
No.
So we were going to talk about... It's January 2nd right now. So 2015 is officially over. So we have to know what our favorite movies of 2015 are. because the door's closed.
It's over now.
Yeah, I think anyway.
So I mean, so you think that you can't see something that was released that you haven't seen yet? Does that make it a 2016 film if you watch a 2015
No, what it does
film
is it makes it fall into no man's land.
It's like in limbo. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It will never make it into a best of list.
Yeah, I saw the movie Take Shelter this year. It's a Jeff Nichols movie with Michael Shannon.
Shannon, yeah.
Yeah, and that was probably the best movie that I saw this year. But it's from like 2009 or something. So nope, it's vanished.
You might as well have not seen it.
Yeah, it just doesn't count.
It's undocumented. It's just it's in the ether somewhere.
I was thinking about that. I was thinking about what I haven't seen this year that I feel guilty about. I never saw Steve Jobs, and I feel guilty about that as an Aaron Sorkin fan.
Yeah, I think a lot of people didn't see Steve Jobs, did they?
Yeah, I think basically nobody did. The problem was probably everybody needed 2 or 3 weeks to get around to seeing it.
Yeah, it's not like anybody was queuing up outside dressed as Steve Jobs, you know.
With the turtleneck?
Yeah. As much as they might do that for like a new iPhone or something, a new film about the guy who, you know, helped develop it, it's not the same. Well, I don't know. This is another thing that is going to throw this into disarray is the international sort of release date differences. So I don't know if Steve Jobs has even been released over here, for instance.
Well, yeah, and also the time difference too. You had like an extra. I mean, I had like an extra 5 hours to get movies in.
Yeah.
At the end of the year. When I was seeing The Hateful Eight on New Year's Eve, it was already 2016 for you.
Yeah.
So if you'd been seeing it at the same time, it wouldn't count. Well, my number one movie of this year came out in Canada in 2014, and I don't think ever was released in the United States. Although I saw it in a theater in 2015, so I feel like that counts. But it's our little art house theater that just sometimes. I mean, they're showing The Martian right now. So
right, they have their own release schedule.
Yeah, they used to be like they're getting back to being like a second run theater, which right. I feel like that economically disappeared from at least from the United States for a couple years, and now it's back. Like movies are big in the summer, and then they turn up again in like January, February.
Yeah. I don't know if that's ever been a thing in England. Like there must have been, you know, back in the day, like those kind of one-screen cinemas that would show a popular film forever. You know, they must have had those at some point. But in my lifetime, I've never known a cinema to run things a bit late. I don't think it's how it works over here.
Yeah, I think that it maybe happened more back before movies were available for, you know, VHS and then DVD and Blu-ray and now Netflix, because, you know, it used to be like you went and you saw The Godfather and you were like, hey, that was a great movie. I'll never see that again. But I think it changed a lot of the approach, I think, of the way that people make things.
Yeah.
I mean, so many different things shape what kind of movies exist. Like, I was just reading this thing with Charlie Kaufman, and he was saying, you know, there's no more $20 million movies, basically, because someone's either going to spend, they'll give you $100 million to make something humongous, or they'll give you like $1 million to make a romantic comedy starring Alison Brie, and like, but those are the only kind of movies that exist.
Yeah, it's either the big sort of tentpole spectacle, or it's the little, nothing, no investment necessary sort of. Yeah,
which I mean, personally, I'm okay with, as like a person who has never made anything that cost over $20 before. We worked on this short film all summer that we ended up kind of abandoning, that I think we actually spent something like $60 or $70 on materials for it.
No way.
And I was like, this is the most I've ever spent on anything.
This is your apocalypse now.
It was mostly AA batteries, because we had a robot and the robot ran out of batteries.
I'm sorry, I thought you were going to say like for cameras and for microphones and stuff. No, AA batteries because we had a robot. You got to have a robot. You know, it's like that thing in Shakespeare in Love when they say you've got to have an amusing dog.
Oh, I thought you were going to say got to have a robot, and I was like, I got to see Shakespeare in Love. Hang on, there's a robot?
Robots. Have you not seen that?
It turns out Gwyneth Paltrow is a robot at the end of the movie.
That's the twist.
Yeah, it's actually part of the Terminator canon.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of if I saw any movies this year that had like a notable robot. Oh, Ex Machina.
Yeah, there was notable robots in Ex Machina, and that other one as well that's just come out recently. You know.
Oh, what? Star Wars?
Oh yeah, that's its name. Yeah.
Yeah. I still haven't seen Star Wars. That's one that's gonna fall into the void.
All right, you've not seen it yet. I think a lot of the excitement about it is related to obviously what the last Star Wars experience was. You know, so people are kind of getting overexcited about it because it's way better than the prequels.
Sure.
But, you know, Cancer is way better than the prequels, but we're not getting that excited about it. You know?
It's also, I think it also, maybe it's both people are looking backward and looking forward because they're so excited that there's, you know, this whole new slate of Star Wars movies coming out. And I mean, I'm excited for what Rian Johnson's version of a Star Wars movie. Yeah. Probably more than I'm excited for this one, but I got to see this one first.
Yeah. So he's doing the next one in the story. Because there's the spin-off ones as well, isn't there? That interesting people are doing as well.
And it's got the next one has Felicity Jones in it.
Yeah,
and she's cool. I'm into that. She got screwed out of the Spider-Man franchise. She was supposed to play like a bad guy. They set her up. Her and poor BJ Novak were in Spider-Man 2, this most recent one.
All right.
And they were like the most interesting part, but they were obviously being teased for like the next movie, which is obviously now never going to happen. It's just throw it on the blown superhero potential scrap pile, along with the total wasting of Michael B. Jordan in Fantastic Four.
Just everything in that film was surely a terrible waste. But I mean,
he got lucky though because then Creed came out and people really like Creed. Yeah. It's the opposite of what happened to Eddie Redmayne last year when the Stephen Hawking movie came out and then Jupiter Ascending came out and it just bombed his respect level. And then Michael B. Jordan had the reverse version of that graph because it was Fantastic Four and then Creed right afterwards. So it brought him right back from the dead.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Creed. I thought that was... there's something about the Rocky films. Like, there's not a lot of films that I cry at.
Rocky does it, though?
Not necessarily the first one, but the last Rocky film, Rocky Balboa, there's about 3 scenes in that really make me, like, well up, where Stallone's just... Well, Rocky is just being really frustrated at the state of life and how things don't turn out how they're supposed to and stuff like that. And for some reason, seeing Rocky as an old man trying not to cry that's like absolutely breaks my heart. So
yeah, man, that would do me in too. I'm glad I didn't see that movie. I feel like there's more of a brain in Sylvester Stallone's head than maybe any of us ever gave him credit for.
No, totally. I do think that. I think, and especially like for some reason, I mean, when in the Rocky films, he's better than he's ever been. You know, he's Sylvester Stallone playing Rocky is. I think it's one of the great performances. It's not, you know, it's one of those kind of iconic things where it's like it's become bigger than what it actually is.
Then even the actual Rocky Balboa.
Well, yeah, but for me, like you can watch the first Rocky and then the 6th one, and then now Creed. I would sort of add. You can watch those 3 on their own and get a lot out of it, and you miss out all the silly stuff with Mr. T and Ivan Drago and stuff like that.
Oh, I'm glad. So we're performing a public service here because now we have Paul Neafcy's handcrafted Rocky Film Festival.
Yeah,
Hand selected.
That's the programming of my Rocky Film Festival.
All right, so best movie of the year. I know what your answer is going to be, but what is your answer?
My favorite movie. Well, see, best movie of the year and my favorite. It's
okay.
I don't know if it's two different things, but my favorite movie of the year by a long way was Mad Max: Fury Road.
Yeah, I really like that one a lot too. I think it was like I had it at 6 on my top 10, but that's kind of arbitrary.
Yeah, it's just you've got to have a system of numeric ordering, surely.
I think actually, if I look at my top 10, honestly, it's like 10, 9, 8, and then 7 number ones.
Yeah.
What's up, podcast audience? Okay, it just occurred to me that Paul and I never got around to articulating out loud what our top 10 movies of the year even were. So let me just give you mine real quick, okay? Number 10, tie between The Martian and Jurassic World. Number 9, the documentary Best of Enemies. Number 8, The End of the Tour, the movie where Jason Segel plays David Foster Wallace, which will actually be discussed a little more in next week's episode. Number 7, Ex Machina. Number 6, Mad Max Fury Road. I have a hard time saying that. I keep almost saying Mad Max Ferry Road, which would be a very different movie, one I would also be just as happy to see. Number 5, While We're Young, which is a Noah Baumbach movie that nobody saw, but that's a travesty. Number 4, American Ultra, which is a movie that nobody liked, and that's insane to me. Number 3, A Light Beneath Their Feet. Number 2, Anomalisa. And number 1, the Canadian movie I already alluded to, Xavier Dolan's film, Mommy, which is amazing and really worth seeking out. It's gonna do some stuff to you that you didn't know that movies could do to you. In a good way. Anyway, back now to our discussion about Mad Max, which is already in progress. Boop! Why are other action movies so bad? And how is Mad Max Fury Road so good? And then the only stumbling point is, oh, well, it did take them 11 years to make it. So, I guess that's part of the reason. The guy who directed Jurassic World, Colin Trevorrow, he was making like little indie movies with Aubrey Plaza like 8 months ago. And now he has like the highest earning action movie in the world in Jurassic World.
Yeah, they churned that one out. Like boop, just there you go.
Which I thought Jurassic World was pretty good. I think it rides really hard on the charm of Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard. And it makes it really easy, like when critics are talking about sexism in movies, it makes it pretty easy, like, well, there's Mad Max, which is doing it right, and then there's Jurassic World with the high heels and the whatever. But I think it was
weird, the weird like maternal thing in Jurassic Park that was. See, I didn't like Jurassic World, sorry.
Yeah, we know. I keep calling it Jurassic Park too.
Yes, well, there you go. That's a Freudian slip.
Yeah. No, I guess the maternal thing that echoed a couple of times in action movies this year. Avengers 2 had the same motherhood shaming thing going on. Yeah,
no, there was the thing in Avengers 2 with the Black Widow equating her inability to have children with her being a monster or something. Yeah. Well, that's how some people took it, I think. But I have a feeling that in the film it actually, or it's supposed to play more like it's an example of the sacrifice that she made to become a monster rather than I'm a monster now because I can't have kids. It was, here's one of the terrible things that they did to me to make me less of a person, or I don't know. Yeah, I think all of that, all of the political missteps of movies this year probably weren't that bad, but everything gets hammered down into like tweet form. Yes, yeah. So if somebody can fit a criticism into 140 characters, then it's gonna run. It's gonna run and run. Which is maybe one of the reasons that Mad Max Fury Road was so right for this moment in our culture, because the plot of the movie can be summed up in one sentence. Almost no one says anything. Yeah, I think that the one of the many strengths of Mad Max is, like you say, it's really simple on the surface. You can just kind of go, well, it is just a car chase, right? That's a bunch of people in a lorry trying to get away from a load of bad guys in other vehicles is basically the plot.
Yeah.
But then I think there's a lot going on kind of behind that.
Sure.
But it's so much of it is implied and just kind of hinted at, and the best example of it, I think, is there's the brilliant turning point where, you know, Mad Max and Furiosa, Charlize Theron, they've been fighting each other and they're sort of begrudgingly travelling together, and Max has had a gun pointed at her the whole time, and then there's a moment when he hands her a shotgun.
Yeah.
And they exchange a look and then carry on with the action scene. And it's 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And
I can see that in like future film textbooks of the future, you know? I mean, there'll be iPad apps, I guess, but but like those screenshots of those shots and those looks and about how much information is communicated visually in a split second. When I saw it in the theater, whatever he was saying in the voiceover, I couldn't even hear it anyway. I couldn't understand it. Yeah. I just assumed it was an engine revving.
Well, that's my only problem with Fury Road, I think, is Tom Hardy's accent. I'm not sure where he's going for with it. And it might be a choice. It might be like, well, we'll give him a nondescript accent so that he sounds like he's from everywhere and nowhere.
Yeah.
But when you sort of going, well, if this is the same character that Mel Gibson played, he should have an Australian accent.
I wonder if he is kind of like he's like the modern day Marlon Brando, where they're like, the directors are like, well, when he gets here, I don't know what he's going to do or how many dogs he's going to bring, but we're going to make it work.
We're just glad to have him.
Yeah, like when Marlon Brando showed up to like the set of Apocalypse Now, right? And he was like, I don't know, 300 pounds overweight, and he insisted that his lines be like read to him through an earpiece. And they were like, well, I mean, we're already in Cambodia, so I guess we gotta have to.
Yeah, and then the Superman thing of he had his lines written all over the set.
Oh, really? Like SNL style?
Yeah, like there was people with cue cards. But then I've seen even like in The Godfather, so not even sort of, you know, not even like late on in his career necessarily.
Yeah.
There's a great picture from behind the scenes of The Godfather where I think like James Caan or somebody has got his dialogue like sellotaped to his chest.
Really?
So he's doing a scene with Brando and he's got Brando's lines like glued to the front of him like a sandwich board or something.
I feel like in a time before the internet, when it seems like the people that were in Hollywood and everything were much more self-selected than now.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only way that could have worked. If the internet had existed, there would be no way Marlon Brando would have gotten work because, you know, they would have just found somebody else who looked enough like him. That movie, by the way, Mad Max, great character names. Imperator, Furiosa, that's like the best name. But
then, like all the women prisoners that they're rescuing have got great names as well, like Angarad the Splendid, and Toast the Knowing, stuff like that.
I like.
But they never say their names in the film, and this is something that's, you know, that's a holdover from the previous three Mad Maxes as well. That, you know, stay and read the credits because they all have ridiculous names that are never used in the films. You know, even like tiny little characters will have the most stupid names that they can come up with.
You see The Martian?
Yes, yeah, I really like The Martian.
Yeah, I'm glad that it did well too, because that means that these kind of parts in movies won't exclusively go to Chris Pratt. Like, they can split the time.
Yeah, so the sort of the slightly sassy, sarcastic man in space listening to disco.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't have to be just Chris Pratt.
It can be a little bit, and then like the small market version of that can still be Paul Rudd, and Michael Pena can be in all three movies.
Yeah, he's got the crossover appeal.
What was the worst movie you saw this year?
Yeah, I've seen some bad films this year, actually. It's either or a double feature of Pixels and The Ridiculous Six. So I watched 2 Adam Sandler movies this year.
God!
That's the level that I will stoop to watch a bad film, to see how not to make a film.
Why would you subject yourself to that?
As I say, I will watch a bad film.
Oh, but there are other bad
research.
movies.
Oh, do you know what else I saw that was awful as well? Did you see Pan?
No, I didn't.
The Peter Pan reboot thing. Jeez, that was just a mess. I don't know what was going on there at all.
I didn't want to see Rooney Mara sullied, so so I didn't watch it. I stayed away.
Yeah, everything. It's one of those where everything about it doesn't work. Like nothing in that film is like, oh, that's good. The whole thing is just like you're watching it going, oh my god, really? Oh my god! Just like the more it's on, the more angry you get and just like confused. It's just it's weird. And they thought, I think it's Warner Brothers, and they wanted it to be like the new Harry Potter. They wanted it to fill in the gap that franchise has left, sort of thing. And I don't know what anyone involved in it was thinking. What
idiot said, you know who's going to capture the imaginations of Americans, the world's children like Harry Potter? Peter Pan.
Peter Pan. Because when was the last time there was a Peter Pan film that anybody gave a shit about?
You know how Peter Pan Halloween costumes are flying off the shelves every year?
Kids love Peter Pan. What's the matter with you? Come on. I'm looking at a list of films that I've seen, and I've actually watched some terrible stuff this year. Have you seen Mordecai?
No, I did not see Mordecai. I didn't even know Mordecai was a real movie for sure.
When you're trying to write scripts and stuff like that, you read these things that tell you statistically how likely a script is to be turned into a film. It's amazing that out of all the films that get produced in a year, these made it. These were the ones that people were like, yeah, let's fucking do that.
Well, you never know what happens, though, sometimes. I mean, the original script for Mordecai could be amazing. It could be... It could be like a gritty drama that could have just as likely gotten recycled into like a James Bond movie. The way that like the script for Die Hard 2 was originally something else.
Yeah.
And they just did like a find and replace, and they changed the main character's name to John McClane. Yeah. So like, but like some other kind of development hell could have happened to Mordecai, and it just could have gotten worse and worse over time. You know.
I think in the case of Mordecai, it's unlikely. It's written and directed by David Koepp, and the only reason that it's got made, and this is, the thing that gets shit films made, is star power. That David Koepp's made films with Johnny Depp before. He made Secret Window. That's the one, isn't it? The one where he's a Stephen King adaptation.
Yeah.
And so David Koepp's mates with Johnny Depp, has written this stupid script and says to Johnny Depp, do you want to be in this? It'll be a right laugh. Johnny Depp gets to like pull stupid faces and fall down staircases and stuff like that for a few weeks, and he's happy. So then David Koepp's got a script with Johnny Depp attached, and the money just comes straight away. It doesn't matter what the piece of shit script is.
Yeah, all he would have needed for another $100 million was the rights to a superhero that was about to expire.
Yeah. I read about Pan, about the sort of production of that, and that was actually the script. The scriptwriter was shopping this script around to all the studios for years, and nobody wanted it. And then he got the director, Joe Wright, who did, Atonement and shit like that.
Yeah.
He got him on board, and then through him, Hugh Jackman came on board, and it's like then it doesn't matter what the script is because you've got a star and a director attached, and it's like, okay, yeah, that sounds good, let's do that.
It's the same way that World War I started. what's one reason that I really love the film festival we have here in town every year is that I can go see 14 or 15 movies without knowing anything about them.
Yeah, because they've not sort of, they're so far from release or whatever, or they're not even guaranteed a release yet.
Or they're never going to get released. There's one that one of the ones in my top 10 is a movie called A Light Beneath Their Feet. And it's a very simple movie about a girl who has a bipolar mother, but it's not like that is exaggerated in its difficulty. It's very realistic in its difficulty.
Right.
So nothing contrived or horrible happens. She is trying to decide whether to go to college far away from home or stay closer to home, and also kind of negotiating a crush on a guy. And that's pretty much the whole movie. But for some reason, something about it, the storytelling, the music, the way it looked and everything, I was like, this is the most modern feeling movie I've ever seen. It feels like it's happening down the street with someone who is 18 right now in 2015. And I don't know. I can't put my finger on why it felt like that. But it did. And I was like, I gotta know. I gotta know what the secret ingredient is. Nothing feels like that normally.
That it's sort of immediacy or whatever.
Even movies that take place in the future feel like they're taking place in 2009. There's storytelling shorthand, and there's the ways people talk and everything that, a movie does get written 3 or 4 years before it comes out.
Yeah. And what was that one? What was that one called?
It's called A Light Beneath Their Feet. At least that's what it's called right now. It's the only thing it's done is played at some festivals. It makes you hope, I don't know, what can I do, ordinary citizen of the United States, to get more people to see that movie or figure out how to see? Because can they even see it? Is it on iTunes? If it is, do you have to pay $20 to see it? Because who the hell does that?
Yeah. But see, that's the new thing now, isn't it? Is the sort of the multimedia release, the sort of all platform things that they're trying out. Is that going to be the future, that things will be available online and in the cinemas on the same day and all that, and is one going to replace the other? It's a weird sort of transitory period for cinema, I think, at the moment.
It's
but
kind
I
of
don't
interesting.
think you can replace something like that, like going to a film festival. That's like going to a live show or something. That's like, you'll always want to see.
Yeah,
you'll always want to see your favourite band live,
right.
And I think there's probably always going to be that kind of feeling of going to a show, that the cinema gives you. I think that'll carry on, because you can't replicate that in the living room, I don't think.
Who knows? You might be getting dangerously close to the 100% truth, because Quentin Tarantino just took The Hateful Eight literally on the road.
Yeah, he's gone on tour. Yeah.
So okay, we've covered best movies of the year, worst movies of the year, past, present, future of cinema.
The only other thing that I could think of when I'm looking at a list of the films that I've seen this year in front of me is some films that disappointed you.
Disappointed you. Okay, cool. What do you got?
Maybe you were excited for, and they fell a bit flat. And I think the one that I was most sort of upset by this year, and it's not because it's terrible or anything, more that it just I wanted it to be really good, and it just was kind of alright, was Crimson Peak.
Oh yeah, Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, did you see it?
No, I didn't see it.
Crimson Peak. I'm a big fan of Del Toro. He's his way of doing things, his aesthetic, that's my jam.
Remember that unpretentious film discussion goal I was talking about earlier? I think Paul just got there.
I'm a big fan of the man and his work.
Yeah.
But then Pacific Rim, I was really excited for, and it wasn't very good. I didn't think it was a bit sort of. It felt a bit flat and hollow, and it turns out that giant robots punching monsters in the face, it's not enough. You've got to do something with that. And it sounds like it should be everything that you need, but it's not quite.
Yeah, so So that means that Guillermo's let you down 2 times in a row.
Yeah, see, so I was coming off the back of a disappointment with Pacific Rim and saw the trailers for Crimson Peak and was like, oh, this looks like it's more of his kind of wheelhouse where it's all gothic and spooky, and yeah, I was a bit jazzed for it, and I also I'm always hoping that he's going to be able to make Hellboy 3. So if he has a big hit,
he needs a hit.
He needs a hit. Then he'll be allowed to make Hellboy 3, because the Hellboy films didn't really make any money, but they're awesome. But anyway, Crimson Peak, I was excited for, and yeah, it just doesn't really take off at all. There's it's a gothic romance, which isn't very romantic. The romance is kind of unconvincing, and the characters are dead inconsistent. And you're introduced to Mia Wasikowska. Is that how you pronounce her name? I don't know.
I thought it was Wozniak.
She starts the film off as kind of spunky and disagreeable, and she's her own woman, self-possessed and all that sort of stuff. And then pretty much straight away, she just becomes this kind of weak, meek,
but on fleek,
easily manipulated individual, and it's kind of out of nowhere, and it's just because she needs to be whisked off to this spooky castle and get married to Loki. And the characters don't add up, they don't make sense, and the mystery of the spooky house that she moves into is really obvious, and none of the ghosts are scary, and basically nothing works apart from the art design. The house looks awesome. It's this, they built this whole mansion set, and it looks fantastic, but that's the only good thing in the film. And the costumes.
Hey, well, that's enough to win you an Oscar.
Yeah.
For me, it's a similar thing. The movie that was that for me this year was Digging for Fire, which is Joe Swanberg. And he did the movie Happy Christmas, which I love.
I think you've told me about that film, and I've never...
Yeah, Happy Christmas is great. What I loved about Happy Christmas was that it's a movie about nice people, mostly being nice, and then toward the end everyone says I love you, and there's some really great bonding in the movie between Anna Kendrick's character and Melanie Linsky's character, and maybe it's just because Melanie Linsky is so great, but that movie, it was very, you get to watch people becoming friends and having fun and writing a book is basically what happens in Happy Christmas. And Digging for Fire is all right, Jake Johnson's digging a hole, that's kind of interesting. Various indie actors that I like keep showing up in little bit parts, that's fine. But then by the time the movie ends, you're just kind of well, that was okay. But I didn't, I was not warmed, I wasn't warmed as if being hugged, the way that Happy Christmas works. And I was hoping to have the magic fully recaptured, and it wasn't, so that was why I was disappointed.
Well, I think that's quite interesting that both of those are, disappointments based on our understanding of people's previous work.
Oh yeah.
Rather than it being the new installment in a franchise or something like that. Because Jurassic World for me was a big disappointment, but it wasn't I had any. Because disappointment implies a kind of personal investment, doesn't it?
Yeah, you didn't have anything. Yeah, you didn't care.
I quite like Jurassic Park, the first one. The rest of them I'm indifferent to, so I didn't have any kind of I hope this is good.
It's true. You always hurt the ones you love, or you're always hurt by the ones you love.
Yeah, that's it. You get personally involved in these things. That's where the disappointment comes in, I think.
So the lesson is,
don't get personally involved in movies.
Never allow yourself to love.
Yeah, never allow yourself to
movies.
Love a filmmaker's oeuvre. Just always detach yourself from who's actually making the films, and you'll never be disappointed.
Except for Shane Carruth. Shane Carruth will never let you down, because he only makes a movie once every 9 years. And George Miller, because George Miller only makes a movie once every 11 years.
And every now and then it's Happy Feet 2.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, he had to make some money. I don't begrudge him that. Those trucks with the sticks with the guys swinging back and forth on them, those don't pay for themselves, you know? Behind every amazing practical effect is a CGI penguin.
It all tallies up.
Yeah, it's to everything there is a season. One for me, one for them,
Yeah.
one for the penguins, one for the road. Yeah.
I think that's as good a place as any to leave it, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
This episode of The Last Podcast featured the voices of Dan Freund, Christina Little, and Paul Neafcy. Music was performed by Fletch Reboot, and our in-house organist was, briefly, Morgan Little. To support this podcast, rate and review it on iTunes, and tell everybody in your proximity that they should listen to it too. Talk to your coworker on the other side of the cubicle wall, the one things have been kind of tense with him lately. Let my dick jokes be an icebreaker for you.